it's Jamie. I live in Saudi Arabia and I have a makeup collection that just keeps getting larger. It didn't today. I'm doing a low buy right now, so it's a little bit less fun, but it also kind of like makes me use my brain and come up with like other things to do other than just review. And reviewing makeup is a hot issue right now, you know? So what I've been doing lately is I decided that I am going to assign a number to all of my palettes, and I upload a short using a palette that has been chosen by Google number generator. Google gave me at random 5 numbers and I pulled those 5 palettes out of my collection. We're gonna talk about them and we're gonna go over whether or not I would repurchase them, what I think about them today, kind of what time frame I got them, what was I thinking when I got them. These are all relevant questions. Max is sitting here watching me expectantly. What do you want, baby? Come here. We don't see a lot of Max on camera because he's not like a lap cat. He's not in your face so much. He's very, but we have achieved. We have achieved. Look at that. Oh my God. Precious boy. There. Max, by the way, is a luscious baby. He's absolutely wonderful. He loves being complimented. I'm petting him and he is loving the compliments right now. But yeah, he is the cat that I brought with me from Egypt. I bought him from a horrible pet store on the side of the road in Nasser, or on Nasser Street. And he came with me to Saudi Arabia. I can't imagine life without him. I love him so much. Like I said, the other 2 are a little bit more like, especially Yoda. Yoda's a bit like needy, and whenever I'm sitting here, he comes up to me and is like, hey, I can come too, right? And I'm usually busy, and yeah, so that's why you see Yoda more, but Max is kind of a bit more low-key, but like when I'm watching TV or in bed or whatever, he's just like right next to me all the time. Because he's a good boy. He's a very good boy. And I think he's talking to me right now because he's hungry. Is that why? He's the hungriest kitty cat you've ever met in your life. Oh my God. Hi. Are you the cutest? Yes. P.S. He does that while I'm sitting on the toilet. He pats my face to make sure everything's going okay. You're welcome for that information, by the way. So the first number that Google generated was number 6, and that for me is my ABH Nouveau palette. I do have a dedicated video on this palette if you ever want to see it. It's shockingly bad quality, but you know, that's just my gig right now. So I like this palette. I don't love it. Don't love, that's not true. I don't even know how to feel. It's very work appropriate. I do wear it to work a lot. It's very pretty. It is not that shocking. I really like, for instance, the inclusion of this lavender shade, which is Wisteria, and it is an interesting color story. I think it's really pretty. I think it's kind of a colorful palette for people who like neutrals. It's a neutral palette for people who like color. There's a couple of shades that kind of hint at a duochrome. I wouldn't call them like a straight across duochrome. Like this shade Lily, I don't know if you can see that. It's kind of a orangey, bronzy shade with flecks of green in it, and that's cute, 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 cute. One other one that's kind of like that is Peacock, and it's almost got a purple shift, but I feel like I have, you know, shades like this elsewhere in my collection, but it's a good quality palette. You know, it's fine. It is a little expensive for my taste, and the reason I bought this palette was to do a little YouTube experiment. I wanted to see if I got a mainstream palette, if my views would go up, and it didn't, so I now have a palette. It's fine. No, it wasn't that expensive. It was like 200 something. Not as expensive, sorry. I can't remember, quite honestly. Bought it from Sephora. Yeah. I like the palette, I'm keeping it. It's no trouble to me. Next number that Google generated was 46, which is my Adept Cosmetics collaboration palette with Heather Austin. I have mixed feelings about this palette in the sense that I really wish that the duochrome shades held up a little better on my eye. That said, this color story couldn't be prettier, really. I have a little issue sometimes with Adept mattes. I sort of feel like the Adept Nouveau is a little bit of a different quality and it's formulated a little differently. And I like that one a little better than this one. These also feel different than the Adept Nouveau duochrome. They're a bit creamier and they definitely move around more. So I have taken to using a glue each and every time I use Adept, which doesn't offend me so much, but it is interesting that the consistency, or the texture rather, of the duochromes is so different than Adept Nouveau. I'm gonna have to look at that some more. That's really odd, honestly. I hadn't quite noticed that. I feel like I knew that in the back of my head somewhere, but I hadn't quite known. So would I repurchase this palette? It is still available. I should say also that the Nouveau palette is definitely still available. This palette is definitely still available on the Adept website. I think also they allow you to bundle it with a second palette for a bit of a discount. It's not a great discount, by the way. It is expensive. It's to the tune of like $56, $53, something like that. And that's just normal for Adept. It's not like it's a cheap brand or anything like that. Would I repurchase it? I don't know. I don't know. I love the Adept Nouveau. I really love that palette. But I'm a little sussed out about how these duochromes perform. I'm gonna get back to you on that, I think. Hell, I'd rebuy it. I'd repurchase it. If you haven't tried Adept yet, just know that the shadows are a little finicky to work with, the duochromes are a little finicky to work with, and you may have to glue them. And just go into it knowing that, and you might have a bit of a different feeling in your heart than I do. Max is helping. Are you being my secretary? Are you wonderful? Are you the most wonderful kitty that ever lived? Okay, the next number that Google generated was number 10, which is my Metropolis palette by Natasha Denona. I don't know if this is available still in the US. I want to say it's still available here in Saudi Arabia to order on the Sephora website. And to be fair, I didn't actually buy this palette. So I don't know if I should mention this, but I definitely ordered, like this was one of my first ever Sephora orders in Saudi Arabia, and this was in March of 2020. So I was in deep lockdown. And I ordered, I think, the gold mini palette from Natasha Denona on the Sephora website, and this is what showed up. That other like mini gold palette is like $27. This was like $125. So I can't fairly say that I would repurchase this, but if someone were to tell me you have to pay $125 for any eyeshadow palette, I'd look at you sideways. I would say you are absolutely crazy. So I don't think that I would buy this at all. It's not a question of like whether I've used the palette. Like you can see, it's been used quite a bit. And this does have kind of what was at the time a new cream to powder sort of experience, which people hadn't done before. And I don't even know what this shade is because it has this annoying insert. It's Orium. Yeah, so it has that cream to powder formula that people were really excited about. And it's served me well. I have it in my collection. I'm happy with it. I use it every now and again. It's expired. But would I buy this palette myself? No. Next up is number 57, and this is the East Emeralds Compass of Creativity palette from BPerfect. And I really like aspects of this palette. So for example, I really like, oh man, I do like this swamp color. I like Zest. Like you can see, I'm all about kind of these murky yellow sort of situations. I like Avo too, that's a pretty color. But And I should mention too that I don't think any of these shades are available in their other palettes, including, from what I can see, of the big Carnival palettes. But on the other hand, there is simply one shimmer in this thing. What are you gonna do with that? And all, like, I know people like all matte looks, but I'm not really one of those people. I do like a shimmer. That's kind of like the icing on the cake to me. Like, don't get me wrong, I like cake, but I want icing on that cake too. You know what I mean? And to just have one shimmer is a little bit unsatisfying to me. And I find that it's difficult to build a look that way. Granted, you may only need 2 shimmers. So what they could have done, potentially, is they could have maybe taken out either Aqua or Greenhouse, one of the two, and put just a slightly lighter shade in there, and it would have been complete. It would have been a complete color story to me. The problem is too is that all of the Compass of Creativity palettes are like that, where they're extremely matte heavy and there's only one shimmer. They now have 8 palettes, or yeah, they have 8 total palettes in the Compass of Creativity series. There's 2 different ones. There's like the more colorful one, and then there's the more neutral one. And in each of those palettes, there's only 1 neutral. So among, what's 8 times 9? 72 shades, there's only 4 shimmer shades? Or I'm sorry, there's only 8 rather, total shimmer shades. Brain, math. I have an art history degree. Don't talk to me about math, okay? So that math does not check out though for building a look. Brought it back, there you go. The Compass of Creativity Emeralds palette, I would not repurchase, and I wouldn't repurchase more of this series. It's just too matte heavy for me. Again, I want more icing on my cake, please and thank you. Preferably cream cheese frosting. That sounds delightful. I'm hungry right now. Oh, what do I want to eat? I know what I want to eat, never mind. Got it. Okay. I'm hopeless sometimes, seriously. Okay, last one is number 61, and this is the Beauty Bay Neutral palette. This is a 42 pan palette, and she is large and in charge. I do use this quite a lot for work. Quite a lot is relative. This month I've been terrible about wearing makeup to work because I want to like sit down and enjoy myself. I have worn this to work recently, which is more accurate. This is true. So what I like about this palette, I really like this wine shade. This one right here, and then like look at that shade above it, Trophy. I'm gonna swatch it because I can. Yeah, butter, real nice. So I like the gray tones in this palette. I like the shimmers. As we know, Beauty Bay does an exceptional shimmer. Look at that, look at that, come on, look at it. But that's why you buy Beauty Bay a lot of the time. But in this palette, the neutral mattes are really quite lovely. I like these kind of rosy tones. They really suit me and my skin tone really well. There's a wide range of things you can do with a palette like this. I love the grays. And I gotta admit, I don't really get a lot of use out of the like top row, like these 2 rows. But never say never, as I like to say. I'll get around to it eventually. So would I repurchase this palette? Yeah, especially given the price. Like, I think I had a coupon for it as well, so it ended up being super cheap, or I didn't have to pay shipping or something. $25 or something, maybe more, like somewhere to the tune of 30 for 42 shades. That's a beautiful, beautiful bargain. And then also, as we know, Beauty Bay has very frequent sales, and they very frequently mark down their own palettes. So if you're ever interested in one of them, just kind of wait, and there may be a really kick-ass sale. I heard recently that Beauty Bay sales are not going that well. I was watching Jen Love's reviews. Is that it? Yep, something like that, Jen Love's. And she was saying, and I commented on the video even, like, what the what? What the what is happening with Beauty Bay? Don't take Beauty Bay down. I will die. That is where I get all my makeup, and that would be sad. Not all of my makeup, but you get it. Because Sephora doesn't carry anything here. It's so boring. And honestly, Beauty Bay is the way that I have access to a lot of indie brands in the Middle East. So if they were to have problems and run into issues to the point where they would shut down, I would be very sad. Also, the quality of this shadow and the quality of their shadows is awesome. So to not have Beauty Bay as a brand, potentially, I mean, this is completely blowing this out of proportion just right now. I haven't heard anything else about it. But imagine if Beauty Bay was gone. Like their shadows were gone. If you haven't tried Beauty Bay, you need to. Get on it. That's your assignment for today. Okay, thanks for watching this short little video. That's fun. I like to kind of break down and go through my collection and talk about it because I think also that's kind of what people want to see right now. It's not necessarily about like straight across reviews. It's about like the longevity of a product within your collection. What do you think about it given some time? This sort of video is something that I'm going to continue to do on the way forward. I can't do repeats though, so that's going to be hard. I got to keep track of this. So anyway, thanks so much for watching. Have a good rest of your day and I'll see you next time. Bye. Like, comment, subscribe. Thanks. Bye.